The event targeted young smokers.
Did you know that thousands of infants are born every year with the physical and mental birth defects? It's caused by their mothers drinking during pregnancy. In fact, fetal alcohol syndrome is the leading cause of mental retardation. We saw a poignant example of fetal alcohol syndrome tonight on ER. The doctors and nurses trying to help a woman who was about to give birth after she had spent hours drinking. But the experts at Johns Hopkins School of Public Health tell us that even small amounts of alcohol may not be safe. Lisa Robinson has more on the complications caused by drinking during pregnancy.
Kathleen Tavenner Mitchell is actively working to prevent a syndrome that she knows all too well. Her daughter is retarded as a result of fetal alcohol syndrome. Now, Kathleen serves as a board member of the National Organization on Fetal Alcohol Syndrome.
So I drink Chablis on the weekends, and not every weekend, not every night. And, my child has full-blown fetal alcohol syndrome.
Experts here at the Johns Hopkins School of Public Health say the effects of fetal alcohol syndrome can range from being very subtle to severe in children. Dr. George Brenneman says drinking during pregnancy can cause a number of birth defects.
Growth retardation, that is, usually those babies are smaller. They don't grow as rapidly in the mother's womb. They have facial abnormalities.
Children with FAS may have small eye openings. The upper part of the lip is narrow and missing the philtrum or the bumps over the lips, and they may have brain damage.
The most vulnerable time is likely in the earliest part of pregnancy, like in the first trimester or even the first couple of months. So that may be the most vulnerable time when the greatest damage is done.
Dr. Brenneman says it also doesn't matter what kind of alcohol you drink. Kathleen says mothers-to-be need to listen up.
If you're pregnant, don't use at all. Don't drink. Don't drink at all, because no one really knows how much is a safe amount to drink. So the message is always, if you're pregnant, don't drink.
If the mothers of these children had listened, their lives would be very different today. In Baltimore, Lisa Robinson, WBAL 11 News.
If you'd like more information about fetal alcohol syndrome, you can find it on our website at http://WBALTV.com. It's information prepared by the Johns Hopkins School of Public Health. Or you can call this number on your screen, area code 410-893-3000, and then enter code 1110.
Well, if you're a fan of ER, you know that Dr. Susan Lewis planned tonight to leave the ER for a job in Phoenix. And that's because the actress who plays her also has decided to leave the show. Sherry Stringfield says she's weary of the long days on the set and those long hours memorizing lines. She says she's given it all up. And by all, we mean $70,000 a show. Stringfield says she wants to get back to her family and boyfriend, and as she says, she wants to cook pasta.
It's supposed to be all. Doctors tell us that early heart attack symptoms can also mimic indigestion. So if you don't feel better after a short time, you are urged that is, to call your doctor. And following ER tonight, more than 1 million Americans have glaucoma and another million have it and don't know it. Experts at Johns Hopkins Hospital of Public Health say that glaucoma is treatable and your eyesight can be preserved. Lisa Robinson has more on preventing glaucoma.
Mr. Parker, I'm going to put a drop in your eye. Look way up. And put one in your other eye. And I'm
Tyrone Parker is 44 years old, and glaucoma is slowly taking away his sight. He's legally blind in his right eye. Dr. Alan Robin is helping to make sure his eyes don't get any worse. He says getting an exam is key to preventing the disease.
If that is done, the odds of us detecting their glaucoma is excellent. And if we can detect it, we can keep individuals from going blind.
Glaucoma is a condition in which the fluid in the eye doesn't drain properly and builds up pressure in the eye. Dr. Robin is measuring that pressure in Tyrone.
Mr. Parker, this is going to be touching your eye. You're not going to feel it. Your eye's already numb.
Dr. Robin says if you want to keep your world from going dark, you need to get an exam. You're at risk if you're African American and if you have a family history of the disease. In Baltimore, Lisa Robinson, WBAL 11 News.
The Johns Hopkins School of Public Health is conducting a study and is looking for glaucoma patients to participate. Now, if you'd like to take part, check out our website at http://WBALTV.com, which is information prepared by the experts at the Johns Hopkins School of Public Health. Or you can do this. Call the number on your screen, area code 410-893-3000, and then enter code 1110. Astronauts wanted to take a little spacewalk tonight. The only problem is they couldn't get out of the space shuttle. We'll explain that. And bitter coffee is not the end or the reason for obesity. Now, because most obese folks have no problem in blocking that chemical.
Following ER tonight, teen pregnancy. Although the teen birth rate has dropped in the last 4 years, only 43% of all pregnancies in the U.S. are intended. In tonight's episode of ER, we saw both the joys and sorrows of having children. Pregnancy, a difficult time when many decisions have to be made, can be even tougher when the expecting moms are teenagers.
Oh, it's difficult. You gotta get up extra early, get him ready, get myself ready, and just started work. So, I mean, it's difficult, but you do it.
17-year-old Michelle Cook still hasn't finished school. Already, she's a mother to 15-month-old Joshua. She and other teen mothers at Baltimore's Paquin School are getting their education and help with mothering skills here. Dion White agrees that being a teen mom is an everyday struggle. She's 16, her son is 10 months old. Did anybody talk with you about sex?
Not really. As far as my parents know.
So you think if they talked with you more about it?
Probably. Yeah, I probably would have waited or used condoms.
Experts here at the Johns Hopkins School of Public Health say an honesty and a direct approach to the subject of sex is key to preventing teenage pregnancy.
We pretend that there's only one way, and that's abstinence, and we know it's not working. Look what's happening to young people.
Dr. Laurie Zabin is a professor of population dynamics at the Johns Hopkins School of Public Health. She says parents need to realize children are exposed to all kinds of sexual messages, like ones you see on soap operas. Moments like this can provide a good opportunity to talk about sex.
The fact is that contraception is incredibly safe and effective, and that message should be out.
Dr. Zabin says research shows joint messages about contraception and abstinence have been most effective in reducing teen pregnancy. In Maryland, pregnancy rates among 15 to 19-year-olds have decreased by 11%. Births to 10 to 14-year-olds have remained steady at 250 a year. For more information about preventing teen pregnancies, you can get information prepared by experts at the Johns Hopkins School of Public Health on the internet at http://wbaltv.com, or you can call 893-3000 and enter code 1110.
Baltimore lights up with the holiday spirit. Details straight ahead.
Retail, handling money and merchandise especially vulnerable. Doctors say the best prevention right now is lots of hand washing.
Well, following ER tonight, we take a look at a growing problem, a trend called huffing. The National Institute on Drug Abuse estimates that 1.8 million people abuse inhalants. 65% of those are children. Lisa Robinson has a look at what you can do as parents to prevent that practice.
It used to be that marijuana and cigarette smoking were viewed as gateway drugs, but experts now say huffing is taking the lead among young people. Pathways in Annapolis treats young people for this problem. Shirley Keneally is clinical director there.
Huffing is actually it's a diverse group of chemicals that have, that are breathable, that have produced mind-altering and mood-altering vapors. And we find that many children, the average age use is between 8 and 18.
Inhalants are usually the first substance young people try because they are cheap, legal, and easy to hide. Huffing is extremely dangerous. Inhalants enter the lungs at high concentrations and are very toxic.
It can be to organs, parts of the body, liver, heart, brain, some permanent damage as well. And it can also do some causes as far as asphyxiation, suffocation.
There are signs of inhalant use: a child's drunken appearance, a dazed look, a chemical smell, a rash or sores around the mouth and nose. Experts say if you notice these signs, seek help for your child. In Baltimore, Lisa Robinson, WBAL 11 News.
And if you have more questions about inhalant use, you can get information prepared by experts at the Johns Hopkins School of Public Health. The internet address is http://wbaltv.com, or you can call this number, area code 410-893-3000, and then enter code 1110.
Well, for many people, the pressure is on to finish and mail all those holiday cards, but students at Western Maryland College should be ahead of the game. That's because an AIDS peer awareness group has been selling seasonal cards to students for a week, and it looks as if the sale has been a big success.
Actually, this is February. In Omaha, Nebraska, an airbag critically injured a 6-year-old boy during a traffic accident. Paramedics revived Andrew Evans at the scene and then they whisked him away. A car broadsided his van. He was in the front seat. Both airbags in the van inflated. The government's been warning families for some time about the dangers of airbags. The devices can kill children and small-sized adults when they're sitting in the front seats. 32 children and 20 adults have died in airbag accidents nationwide.
Tonight on ER, you saw the brutal gang shooting of a priest who works with gangs. In this week's Following ER, Lisa Robinson takes a look at what can be done to prevent gangs and gang violence. Experts at Johns Hopkins School of Public Health say it begins at home.
The Safe and Sound Youth Alliance of Baltimore is giving its young people a pat on the back. It's a celebration holiday lunch. The teens get counseling at the Alliance and in turn help other youth stay out of trouble. Colin Sears says he's had his share of brushes with the law, but he's turned his life around and now he wants adults to know how they can help.
Get them involved in different activities that they like, activities that are fun. Like I said, preferably positive activities, but just something that they can do to occupy their idle time, make them feel like they belong. You know, it's a basic human need to want to feel like you belong and that you're accepted.
19-year-old Odell Blocker agrees. He says many young people have the wrong attitude.
I'm fast, so it won't be me that gets caught. So that kind of behavior, that kind of thinking is really what gets a lot of young people in trouble. Thinking that I can't get caught or that they're slicker than everyone else and they can just get away with anything, that kind of thing.
Youth advocate Selwyn Ray says parents try to do their best, but need to remember not to talk down to their children.
To engage them in a conversation about how they can better respond to the challenges of life. In fact, it's like involving them in changing their condition.
And take Colin's advice and find some creative outlets for your children to explore themselves and invest their energy. In Baltimore, Lisa Robinson, WBAL 11 News.
If you would like more information, check out our website. The address is easy to remember. It's WBALTV.com. You can also call us at 893-3000. Just enter the code 1110. Experts from Hopkins School of Public Health will help you.
Anybody who owns animals knows you might very well have your hands full with, say, a dog or a cat or even two. But 64 cats in one house? A 60-year-old woman in Russia's
building. Investigators are using computers to try and recreate how it started. But the work is slow and difficult because the fire began in the basement and the roof and main floor partially collapsed.
While we're talking about fire and flames, tonight on ER you saw a terrifying fire scene. A man caught in flames. This is the time of year when most house fires occur, in part because people are using their heating systems more. Following ER tonight, Lisa Robinson talks to a fire victim and experts at the Johns Hopkins School of Public Health about how you can prevent becoming a fire victim.
Christmas is one of Paul Terrell's favorite times of year. He loves the trains and decorations and most things boys his age like.
Kickball, baseball, football, playing with my friends.
Paul's had his share of tough times too. 3 years ago, he was disfigured in a house fire. 6 operations later, he's recovered. And he does have a message for all of us. Paul's former home had no smoke detector.
You need a smoke detector, and you have to make sure it works. And be careful.
An injury prevention expert with the Johns Hopkins School of Public Health agrees with Paul. Sue Baker says you should have an escape plan and an automatic sprinkler system.
One of the best and one of the least used forms of protection is an automatic sprinkler system. Smoke detectors are great, but they don't put the fire out. Automatic sprinkler systems will put the fire out.
While Paul's grandmother wants the prevention message to get out, Mildred Glover also wants people to know there is life after a fire, and survivors need support.
Just cover the child with love, get involved with him, let him know that he's still the same kid, just another kid,
Paul's a kid who just wants to make sure other kids don't suffer the same fate he has. Lisa Robinson, WBAL 11 News.
If you want more information about fire prevention, you can access it at our website at http://wbaltv.com, or you can call the Johns Hopkins School of Public Health at 893-3000 and then enter code 1110.
The holidays are over and you're stuck with a tree. Some earth-friendly suggestions for getting rid of it straight ahead.
In our health alert tonight, an urgent need for blood. The American Red Cross says the blood shortage is the worst it's seen in 4 years. Not enough people are donating because of flu outbreaks, holiday vacations, and now severe winter weather. The Regional Red Cross supplies blood to 82 hospitals in central Maryland, northern Virginia, and also parts of Pennsylvania. If you're healthy and at least 16 years old, you can give blood. You can call the American Red Cross. They'll have the information.
Well, tonight on ER, you saw the difficulty doctors had in trying to get a patient to accept a certain type of treatment. They needed her informed consent. Well, tonight in Following ER, Lisa Robinson tells us why you need to know about this before you land in the emergency room.
This is for consent of treatment, and she can read this, the top part.
Roberta Smith is often the first person someone sees when they walk into the ER at Johns Hopkins Hospital. She's the person who must get all the paperwork, including consent to be treated.
Some people just are leery about signing anything.
And if they don't sign, doctors can't treat them. Dr. Ruth Baden is a bioethics professor at the Johns Hopkins School of Public Health. She says a problem arises when a patient is not able to give permission.
If the patient is not competent in obvious ways, or the patient is a child, then we have mechanisms to seek that permission from someone else who is acting on behalf of the patient. If it's a child, it's conventionally a parent.
But in some situations, there is no family member, friend, or advocate to act for a patient.
The conventional medical ethics would say if you have a truly emergent circumstance, there's an absolute crisis, and the patient's life hangs in the balance, and the patient is clearly incompetent, then the physician ought to go forward.
Experts here at the Johns Hopkins School of Public Health say you should be prepared for emergency situations. Carry with you instructions on how you'd like to be treated, and let your family members know your wishes. In Baltimore, Lisa Robinson, WBAL 11 News.
By the way, you can find more information on informed consent at our website, http://wbaltv.com, or you can call this number, the Bell Atlantic Info Tip Line, at area code 410-893-3000, and then enter code 1110.
Snow is piling up in the Inner Harbor tonight. Details straight ahead.
Plus, Tom Tasselmeyer with more on those dangerously low wind chills.